Remember when gas was under $1 and your biggest worry was missing the latest episode of Friends? The 90s weren't just different. They were a psychological paradise compared to today's constant stream of anxiety. In this video, we're counting down 10 reasons why the 90s truly was the last golden decade, and why that feeling of freedom wasn't just in your imagination. The economic and cultural shifts that happened since then will shock you. Number 1. The economy. Remember the 90s economy? It was like this magical fairyland where your dollar actually meant something. Imagine walking into a grocery store without mentally calculating if you have enough to last the month. That's the kind of psychological freedom we had, something that feels almost unreal today. During the Clinton era, middle-class incomes rose by an impressive 10%, actual money in actual pockets. Compare that to the brutal 9% drop we've seen since 2000. This isn't just about numbers on paper, it's about the knot in your stomach when bills arrive. In 1990, the average home price was about $123,000 in today's dollars. Now, try over $380,000. College tuition at public universities has skyrocketed from around $4,000 to over $10,000 annually. In healthcare, annual premiums have more than doubled since 2000. Number 2. Global awareness. That carefree 90s vibe extended far beyond our wallets. Did you know we were living through the final decade where most people could book a flight, drive a car, or plan for the future without a nagging voice whispering about climate catastrophe? The psychological freedom of environmental innocence might have been the decade's most underrated luxury. Back then, climate change was something scientists were definitely talking about, but it felt like a distant problem. Something our grandkids might need to worry about. We had time, lots of it. While experts had reached near consensus on greenhouse emissions, society operated with a blissful belief that we weren't on any urgent timeline. Fast forward to today, and climate anxiety has completely transformed how we live. Planning a vacation? Get ready for a side order of flight shame. Shopping for groceries? Feel that pang of guilt with every plastic package. Even bigger life decisions like having children come with new questions our parents never had to consider. What kind of world am I bringing them into? The psychological toll is especially brutal for younger generations. They're growing up bombarded with the end-of-the-world scenarios, creating what researchers note is unprecedented anxiety. A constant stream of climate doom doesn't just make kids worried, it's producing feelings of genuine helplessness that impact their everyday mental health. Number 3. TV shows. When was the last time you and your coworkers all discussed the same TV show around the water cooler? In the 90s, this wasn't just common, it was practically inevitable. Those limited channel options created something we've completely lost today, a genuine shared cultural experience that connected us in surprisingly meaningful ways. Remember when Ross yelled, "We were on a break," on Friends? Everyone got that reference. When Will Smith was thrown out of Bel-Air, or Tim the Toolman Taylor grunted through another home improvement disaster, these weren't just entertaining moments, they were tomorrow's conversations. Shows like Seinfeld didn't just make us laugh, they gave us common ground with neighbors, colleagues, and even strangers. What's fascinating is that those limited viewing options actually strengthened our social connections. As one sociologist noted, in the 90s we had a collective experience with television that shaped our social interactions. Today, the sheer volume of content available leads to a fragmented culture where fewer people share the same references, impacting our ability to connect over media. Number 4. Sketch comedies. While our entertainment bubbles keep us isolated today, nothing connected 90s America quite like this fearless comedy scene. What happened to the era when Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, and the Wayans family could make an entire nation laugh at the same jokes? The comedy revolution of the 90s wasn't just funnier, it was a social superpower we didn't realize we'd miss so much. The 90s sketch comedy lineup reads like a Hall of Fame roster. Saturday Night Live featured future superstars like Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon, while Mad TV offered alternative sketch brilliance. Then there was In Living Color, the Wayans family masterpiece that launched careers for Jamie Foxx and Jim Carrey. These shows didn't just make us laugh, they brought us together in ways that seem impossible today. Remember those sketches that pushed boundaries and sparked Monday morning conversations? They tackled touchy subjects with humor instead of hostility. When In Living Color or SNL poked fun at cultural norms, politicians, or social issues, Americans from completely different backgrounds found themselves sharing genuine belly laughs. These shows created neutral territory where we could process complicated issues through comedy. Number 5. Movies. Cinema in the 90s wasn't just entertainment, it was an artistic revolution. While today's multiplexes overflow with superhero sequels and reboots, the 90s represented the last era when original storytelling reigned supreme. Remember when directors like Quentin Tarantino and David Fincher weren't just making movies but creating cultural earthquakes? Films like Pulp Fiction and The Blair Witch Project took bold, creative risks and still managed to become both critical darlings and box office successes without belonging to any franchise. The theatrical experience itself was fundamentally different back then. Before Netflix and chill, we actually gathered in darkened theaters, experiencing these cinematic wonders together. The collective gasps during The Sixth Sense or the stunned silence after Fight Club created shared cultural moments that bound us together as a society. Today's studio executives would likely reject these now classic films as too risky. The statistics tell the story. Nearly 50% more franchise films dominate theaters today compared to the 90s. This shift hasn't just changed what we watch, but how movies impact us culturally. Number 6. Music. While movies captivated our imaginations in theaters, it was the music of the 90s that became the soundtrack to our identities. Remember when your CD collection wasn't just entertainment but a personality statement? The 90s represented the final chapter when musical genres created entire movements that transformed how we dressed, spoke, and saw ourselves. The musical landscape buzzed with unprecedented diversity. Grunge rockers like Nirvana and Pearl Jam gave voice to teenage angst, while bands like Blink-182 and Red Hot Chili Peppers crafted anthems that defined our youth. Meanwhile, rap evolved through influential artists like Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G., forever changing the genre's trajectory. Pop wasn't left behind either, with powerhouses like Mariah Carey and Celine Dion dominating charts with their unmistakable vocals. What made this era special wasn't just the music, it was how we experienced it. Physical ownership created a ritual that streaming can't replicate. Remember carefully unwrapping a new CD, poring over the liner notes, and displaying your collection proudly? Studies show this tangible connection fostered deeper emotional bonds between fans and artists. Each album purchase was an investment, both financially and emotionally. Number 7. Hookup culture. The digital revolution didn't just transform how we consumed music, it completely rewired how we form romantic connections. Studies reveal a counterintuitive truth. Despite having more access to potential partners than ever before through dating apps, people today report feeling more lonely and disconnected in their relationships compared to the pre-swipe era of the 90s. Remember when getting a date meant gathering your courage to ask someone out face to face? That genuine vulnerability created bonds that today's convenient swipe right culture simply can't replicate. In the 90s, relationships typically began through shared social circles or chance encounters that required actual conversation and chemistry, not just photogenic profiles and clever one-liners. Dating back then involved real anticipation, waiting by the phone for someone to call, planning thoughtful dates at the mall or movies, and experiencing those stomach-fluttering moments when you'd see your crush in person. The effort required meant people entered relationships with greater investment from the start. The psychological impact of this shift can't be overstated. Today's hookup culture has created what sociologists identify as emotional emptiness, where casual encounters rarely satisfy our deeper need for connection. Meanwhile, studies show that meaningful relationships, more common in the 90s, positively impacted mental health and overall life satisfaction, with committed partners reporting higher happiness levels and less anxiety. Number 8. Fashion. The authentic connection that defined 90s relationships wasn't confined to our social lives. It was literally woven into the fabric of our clothes. Remember when getting dressed meant choosing something that actually felt good on your body? The 90s fashion philosophy was revolutionary in its simplicity. Wear what makes you comfortable while expressing who you are. Those iconic baggy jeans weren't just a style statement, they were liberating. You could actually sit cross-legged without cutting off circulation. Flannel shirts weren't chosen for their photogenic qualities, but because they were soft, warm, and practical. Even those chokers we all wore served us, not an algorithm determining what would get the most likes. Today, these same 90s pieces have made comebacks, but often as uncomfortable shadows of their former selves. Modern mom jeans might look like their 90s counterparts, but come with premium price tags and less forgiving cuts. They're designed more for the camera than the person wearing them. Fashion designers have admitted that Instagram has fundamentally changed their priorities. Instead of creating clothes that serve real people living real lives, many now focus on pieces that photograph well regardless of comfort. What's the point of looking amazing in your social media post if you're miserable the entire time you're wearing the outfit? Number 9. SUV popularity. That freedom-first attitude wasn't just reflected in what we wore, it literally drove our transportation choices. The SUV explosion of the 90s wasn't about impressing the neighbors with luxury badges and fancy tech packages. It was about practical adventure machines built for families who valued experiences over appearances. Remember when car commercials showed vehicles actually getting dirty? By 1998, Americans were buying over 3 million SUVs annually, making them the most popular vehicle category in history. We had more than 40 different models to choose from, everything from Ford Explorers to Jeep Cherokees, with luxury brands like Mercedes-Benz and Lexus eventually joining the party. What made these vehicles special wasn't their status appeal, but their promise of escape. 90s SUVs came with practical features that mattered: CD players, power steering, cup holders, and comfortable interiors that made family road trips possible. The marketing reflected our values perfectly. Commercials showed families camping, hauling sports equipment, and enjoying outdoor adventures together. Number 10. Hollywood shift. That transformation from practical SUVs to status symbols mirrors something equally concerning happening in Hollywood. While your Jeep Cherokee was trading muddy trails for valet parking, the film industry was undergoing its own identity crisis. The 90s represented the last era when major studios regularly balanced creative ambition with commercial potential, a delicate equilibrium that's nearly vanished today. Remember when mid-budget films regularly tackled complex themes while still finding mainstream success? Films like The Usual Suspects and Good Will Hunting weren't part of massive franchises, yet they became cultural touchstones. These days, that middle ground has almost disappeared, leaving us with either micro-budget indies or $200 million franchise installments. What happened? Corporate consolidation swallowed up the diverse studio landscape, transforming filmmaking into a numbers game where algorithms and focus groups determine which stories deserve telling. The priority shifted dramatically from creating diverse narratives to maximizing global profits through formulaic content designed for international appeal. Filmmakers who thrived in the 90s have been vocal about this shift. The business model has fundamentally changed the stories we see, prioritizing predictable returns over creative risks. And while today's blockbusters may have higher production values, psychologically they're making less impact. We might be dazzled in the moment, but our entertainment has become more disposable and less culturally significant. What we've seen exploring together isn't just nostalgia, it's a fundamental shift in how we experience life. The 90s represented the last era where we lived primarily for ourselves rather than for an audience. Psychological studies show today's constant connectivity has actually increased our anxiety while decreasing our happiness compared to the 90s era. We're perpetually performing rather than genuinely experiencing. But here's the truth. We can't turn back time, nor should we want to completely. Technology has given us incredible gifts. The challenge is finding balance. Cultural critics point to the significant psychological differences between pre-internet and post-internet life, particularly the loss of authentic social connections. Maybe that's why slow-living movements are gaining traction. They're attempting to recapture elements of pre-digital life without rejecting modern advances completely. So here's a question worth considering. Which aspects of 90s freedom could you reclaim in your own life? What would it feel like to experience a day without the constant pressure of performance and connectivity? The best parts of the past might just hold the key to a more balanced future. Did this journey through the 90s spark memories or make you reflect on how our world has changed? We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this nostalgic dive into the last golden decade, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay connected with more thought-provoking content that explores the cultural shifts shaping our lives. We're always working on new videos that blend nostalgia with insightful analysis of today's world. Don't miss out on future discussions about how our past influences our present. Hit that subscribe button now and join our community of viewers who love to explore the complexities of culture, technology, and society. Together, let's keep the conversation going. Remember to click the notification bell too, so you'll be the first to know when we upload new content. Your support helps us continue creating videos that make you think, remember, and maybe even inspire positive changes in your daily life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.